Imagine, if you will, an alternate world several years after the end of World War II, where Einstein developed the time machine, went back in time, vaporized Hitler with a handshake, causing World War II to never happen. Sounds pretty good, right? Except that's not where it ends. Without the events of World War II to weaken them, the USSR rose to even greater global prominence, which inevitably led to a very, very hot war. The Euro Alliance, and later the United States, against the Soviet Union. This Second Great War transpired between the years 1946 and 1953. Despite its significance, its events are not the focus of this video. TLDR, the Allies won, resulting in the dissolution and occupation of the Soviet Union. Its former leader, Stalin, was killed, and in his place, the Allied occupiers appointed Premier Alexander Romanov, a member of the Romanov family and a distant relative of Tsar Nicholas II. This was a crushing blow for the now named Soviet Russia, of course. Their country was occupied, and their military strength sapped. No satellite launches were allowed. Their standing air force severely restricted, and its further development suspended. Despite this, Russia, under the leadership of their puppet premier, seemed content with the occupation. Both sides were relatively okay with the arrangement, and it felt, even if for a brief moment, as though this uneasy peace would last for a long time to come. That all changed, however, when a new chief advisor to Romanov was appointed.
Greetings, Premier Alexander Romanov. I am Yuri.
This enigmatic figure, named Yuri, is no stranger to the Kremlin. In fact, he was part of those recruited by the Special Psychics Division project during the Second Great War. Even back then, his immaculate psychic talents were quickly realized, and he rose through the ranks as an advisor to Stalin himself. Of course, with the USSR's defeat, Yuri was forced to conceal himself for a time. Being a man of great ambition, this was obviously not where he wanted to end things, and thus, he returned to the Kremlin once again in service of Premier Romanov. This was not an act of loyalty towards the Soviet Russia, nor the legacy of Stalin. Yuri had his own designs for the world, lacking only in the strength to execute it. Don't get me wrong, he is no doubt a powerful individual. On top of being able to mind control others, Yuri possesses potent telekinesis abilities, and even a degree of foresight into the future. But in the end, there is only so much one man can do, and so he must bide time, manipulating the world from the shadows while he secretly sought power and support from those whose vision aligned with his. He restarted the Psychics Recruitment Project, seeking out psionically powerful individuals, unaware and self-aware alike, around the world, culminating in the formation of the Psi Corps. In time, they will grow into one of the world's strongest paramilitary organizations, but until then, Yuri will leverage the influence of the Kremlin to shape the world according to his desires. He senses the slowly building resentment towards the allied nation inside every Russian, including the puppet premier, and this resentment will be the first card he plays. In the years following Yuri's appearance, relations began to sour rapidly between the allied nations and the Soviets, in large parts due to the destabilization efforts of the Psi Corps. Various protests, civil unrest, and changes in public opinion began spreading like wildfire around the world. Due to the resulting political pressure, 20 years after the end of the last war, Allied troops occupying Soviet Russian territories began pulling out of the region gradually. But the bad news doesn't end there. Under the secret backing from Soviet Russia, socialist revolutions sprung up across Latin America, culminating in the formation of the Latin Confederation, a new South American regime of the World Socialist Alliance. At roughly the same time, the Allied intelligence network rooted in Asian countries was suddenly compromised as contact with agents on the field was lost for mysterious reasons. It was during this time that the People's Republic of China began secretly receiving technological aid from Soviet Russia, using it in conjunction with their own nuclear development programs to evolve the Chinese army into a slow yet powerful machine of war. Soviet Russia itself seized this opportunity to begin rebuilding itself back onto the world stage, a key step of which is the recovery of their old military tech. After winning the last war and seizing the Soviets' research on cybernetic technology, the Allies have kept a record of it in a facility located near East Ukraine, where cyborg research is being conducted. With the advent of the Allied retreat in 1972, this facility is naturally going to be evacuated soon as well, meaning that the cybernetic technology will be lost to Russia forever if nothing is done. Not content to give up this tech, two special operatives, Boris of Russia and Jose Arcadio Morales of the Latin Confederation, both heroes of their own respective factions, were sent to the area to recover this missing technology. Despite being under the cover of darkness, the mission was not a smooth sail. Snipers and patrols littered the area. And what's more, sounds of metal clanging and sightings from the duel confirmed the development of a new prototype drone by the Allied researchers at the facility. The erratic yet quick movements of these drones posed a significant threat to the duel, forcing them to act much more carefully, be it out of caution or fear. Despite these hurdles, the duo managed to locate the research center, and upon investigation, they found that the rumored cybernetic technology is actually the remains of the old Russian cyborg heroes from the Second Great War, Volkov and Chitskoy. With this revelation, they switched their mission objective to the recovery of these remains, which they loaded onto a Kamaz truck. All of a sudden, however, the facility erupted into chaos. Allied soldiers began frantically rioting, firing upon both friend and foe alike. Unbeknownst to the Russian higher-ups, Yuri had secretly dispatched members of his Psi Corps to the area to sow chaos among the Allied troops in an attempt to destroy the cybernetic research. His actions make sense, as cyborgs and drones, with their immunity to mind control, pose a great threat to a core part of Yuri's arsenal. Destroying them would ensure the infallibility of his mind control tricks. The Psi Corps' efforts were not in vain, as the drone prototypes developed by the Allies were all but destroyed in the chaos. Though to Yuri's lament, Boris and Morales did manage to successfully extract from the field with the bodies. With the safe return of the duel, Russia regains their long-lost cybernetic technology, a crucial piece of the puzzle filled in the preparation for war. And Yuri, deep within the Kremlin, could do nothing but feign content at the arrival of the news. All this chaos and dissent has obviously gotten the Allied nations all pretty worried, and they did try to turn the situation around, such as by launching the first ever TV satellite for the Russian people in January of 1977 at the Leninsk Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. A generous gesture, for sure, as Russia was forbidden from launching their own satellites, but it didn't do as much good as the higher-ups hoped. In fact, this half-hearted sign of goodwill will eventually come to bite them in the ass. Regardless, the inefficiency of this attempt made it clear to the Allies that the relationship can no longer be salvaged, and the full retreat of Allied occupants continued. All preparations have been completed. Decades of espionage and sabotage, a thing of the past. Now is the time for the instigator. One last step must be taken before the world is engulfed in flames. With the groundwork finished, Premier Alexander Romanov finally declares war on America. As the phone call went through, the Russian invasion fleet began sailing towards American soil. But rest assured, the citizens have nothing to worry about, because with such an unforgivable act of defiance, the American military will surely decide to hit the nuclear button, preparing to launch their Peacekeeper intercontinental ballistic missiles at Soviet Russia. The rockets are being fueled at the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. If all goes well, this silly little war will end in just a few hours. Anticipating the American retaliation well ahead of time, Yuri activates several of his Psi Corps agents in the area. Commanding these psychics is none other than the Proselyte, who quickly rose to become Yuri's second-in-command due to his shrewd tactical abilities. Even then, infiltrating the base will not be an easy feat. But the Psi Corps has the gift, the ability to shape thoughts, and thus shape the currents of the future. Under the guidance of the Proselyte, the Psi Corps troopers use their psychic abilities to slither their way through the guards. The local defenders could not bring themselves to understand why the friends and mates whom they've spent years building a camaraderie with are suddenly turning against each other. In the midst of chaos, an Epsilon agent successfully reaches the missile control building. With the completion of their mission, the Psi Corps troopers immediately committed suicide, cutting off the possibility of the Americans ever finding out about the twisted powers they used to achieve this operation. For some reason, This was the only American base equipped with ICBM strike capabilities. A foolish decision, born either out of sheer confidence in the security of the base, or simply arrogance, which led them to believe that the missile's usage will never come to be. The truth no longer mattered. What's done is done. And it did not take long before the implications of the silo's destruction dawned upon the Americans.
This is a message to the long-time subscribers of this channel. This is but the beginning of the tale of Mento Omega. Join me and witness my grand design come to fruition. I'm Yuri. Obey me.